It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Welcome to the Rolling Stones Top 10 Songs stream at SoundLab Studios. How you guys doing today? We're
Amazing.
here
Good.
today with Briar and Nick. We're going to talk about the top 10 songs. So,
Heck yeah.
one of Great Britain's most popular rock and roll bands. And I have my Aftermath album here in front of me and my Between the Buttons over there. So, let's
Right.
dig into the top 10 songs.
And this time I'm actually going to be staying for the whole thing.
Hey, there we go.
I know we've had like the Super Bowl and we've had some things come up, so we're glad to have you for the full duration of the video.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get on with it. We're going to start with number 10.
Okay, we're starting with me or Nick.
No, we
Yes.
always start with you.
Okay, go ahead, start with me.
Countdowns
Okay,
and all that.
all right. Cool. All right, so my number 10, this might be a odd choice. This is I guess this is kind of a deep cut. I'm not sure, but I'm going to be talking about the song from this album. It's only rock and roll. I'm going to go with Time Waits for No One. So it's track number 5 on the album, and it's a really good song. So you have Ray Cooper playing some percussion on it. So you have Nicky Hopkins on piano, and what I really enjoy about the song, there's a bit of a jazz influence in here, which makes sense because Charlie Watts does come from a jazz background, and I think a little bit of Bill Wyman also does a little bit of jazz work as well. But yeah, it's just this really underrated song, and the real standout part of this whole song is the guitar work, and I believe the guitar work was mainly done by Mick Taylor, and he just does some has a great guitar solo. Like there's like a whole 2 minutes, the whole last 2 minutes is just Mick Taylor going at it on the guitar. It's just absolutely spectacular. So yeah, I think it's a very underrated song. I don't hear many people talk about it. And so, yeah, that's going to be my number 10.
Nice number 10. Really great deep cut.
Yeah.
My number 10 is going to be, let's get to number 1. My number 10 is going to be Midnight Rambler from the Let It Bleed album. Easily the best track on that album. It's nice. It's like great bluesy rock throughout the whole track, and it's just the track that I'm feeling the entire way through. It's just a great track all throughout, and I much prefer it over the live version that became more popular amongst Stones fans. But I can see why that version's the best. But to me, nothing beats the studio version.
Mm.
Yeah, that's my number 10.
Just for the record, I did not go back and listen to their entire discography again for this. I made a playlist of my top like 20 something of their songs and then just weeded out what I didn't like, or not what I didn't like, but what was the least good of the top 20 songs until I got to my top 10. I think from now on, every time we do a discography ranking, we'll just do the top 10 songs the next week. So A, we don't have to listen to another discography, and B, since we have everything fresh in our mind, that might be
Yeah,
a
that's a good idea.
pretty good idea.
Like for the police, we're gonna do a top 10. I assume.
Yeah, we'll probably do a Police top 10 the following week before we do what's after the Stones. Was it Simon and Garfunkel or CCR? I forget.
CCR, I think.
I think it's CCR. Okay, so we'll do Police top 10 before CCR top 10. Anyway, my number 10, and my list is very basic, but my number 10 is Start Me Up from Tattoo You. You know that it's going to be good from the guitar riff at the beginning. This song was actually a reject from a song that they had recorded for a different album, but they kind of brought it back, and it's a good thing that they did because I think this is their most well performing single, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd have to look that up. But it's very rocking. This is definitely the song that you imagine Mick Jagger doing his chicken walk to out in the audience.
Especially if you watch the video.
Good riff. Has like the clapping. That you can just imagine the whole audience clapping along with while he's up there doing his dance moves. Anyway, that's my number 10.
That's a great song. That's just a little overplayed for my taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so on to number 9. I'm going to go to this album, Goat's Head Soup, and this is actually another deep cut I'm going to be mentioning. I'm going with Coming Down Again. So yeah, this was I was pretty surprised when I first heard that song. It was like really beautiful. You have Keith Richards on lead vocals. It's the only Keith Keith led vocal song I have on my list, and he does a really good job on this song. Like I think it perfectly fits the tone of the song. From what I gathered, this was, I guess, is supposed to be about his relationship with Anita Pallenberg, which of course left Brian Jones to for Keith. So uh, didn't go too far in depth on what it's actually about, but that's kind of interesting. It's this kind of this slower ballad and great, more acoustic led, and I love the piano throughout the song. And you hear a little kind of like a squeaky sound effects. I don't know what that was. I don't know what they used for that, but it's kind of like it's not like annoying or anything. It just kind of adds something a little interesting, something unique to the song. But yeah, very underrated song. So that's my number 9.
Okay,
Nine.
my number nine is an album. It's a song from their second album, believe it or not.
Really?
Grown Up Wrong. That song stuck in my head instantly when I first heard it. When I first heard all their albums, which is way back. I've always loved that song, and it's very boom, 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 boom. It's just a song. It's a big deep cut. Not very little Stones fans even know what that song is. Like a lot, whoever's watching as a Stones fan is probably like, what's that song? But that's just great about diving deep into to a discography, especially a big discography. Is you just find so many diamonds, and that's one of them. That's one of mine.
Is it because your dad had the copy of that album that he gave to you?
Yeah, it's from the 12x5 album too. If you want to talk about the US version, but yeah.
Cool.
All right. My number 9 is from this album right here,
Under my thumb.
Under My Thumb. I can only imagine that this is supposed to be, the lyrics to this song are supposed to be sarcastic, because he's talking about how he feels like his girl is just dissing him all the time, but yet he wrote this diss track to her. So it's like this has got to be sarcastic, because if not, it's kind of rude. But um, it's got really good marimba from Brian Jones on it. The bass playing here from Bill Wyman is amazing. Mick Jagger just giving it his all on the vocals, and I call this song Edgy Pet Sound. I call this album Edgy Pet Sounds, but this song is pretty much Edgy Pet Sounds because it's got that, like, because of the marimba and the production sound, it sounds like Pet Sounds, but it's like got the Rolling Stones edge to it. So that's why I call it Edgy Pet Sounds. But it is my number 9 song.
All right, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, on to number 8. Moving back to this album. So I'm going with another deep cuts. We have Monkey Man.
Oh,
So that's a really great deep cut here. I really like the intro where you have like the piano, the bass, and then they had like a vibraphone, which is kind of similar to a xylophone. And yeah, it just has this really cool intro. Then once the actual song kicks in, it just has this really great groove, and guitar riff on it is just absolutely so catchy. And of course you kind of like Mick Jagger towards the end, just saying he's a monkey man, which is kind of humorous. But yeah, it's a very nice song. Lyrically, from what I gathered, this was a tribute to an Italian artist that they met when they were touring Europe. His name was Mario Schifano. I have no idea. Like, by artist, he's kind of more like a, not quite a music artist, kind of like I guess a painter or film person. I didn't get that far into it, but yeah, this is one of my favorites. Actually, it was one of my, because where I work, I have a coworker who is also really big into the Rolling Stones, and that was actually one of the songs he brought up was Monkey Man, which I never heard. So that was kind of got me interested, and yeah, it's kind of the reason why this song's up here, because I heard it and I was like, wow, this is actually very cool. I really enjoy this one. So that's my number 8, Monkey Man.
cool.
My number 8 is going to be from the Aftermath album. It's Not Easy. One a really great groove to it. Especially the intro is to me the best part of the song. Doom, 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 bum, 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 bum. And then the lyrics come in and all that. But it's just to me, it's just a really great song from the Aftermath album. One of one of the best albums I heard. In my top 10 best albums of all time. But yeah, just to me, it's just a really good song to listen to. Yeah, that's my number 8 spot.
All right. My number 8 is from that album back there. I don't know if you can see it, but it is Ruby Tuesday. I know Nick says he's not the biggest fan of this song, but I really like this song. I like the string orchestrations on it and just kind of the sing along chorus of it. Mick Jagger just, again, vocally giving it his all. I think that this song was mostly written by Brian Jones, which is interesting. But this was one of their biggest hits in the 60s. Kind of blew up everywhere. So, Ruby Tuesday, number 8.
Number 7. Okay, I'm going to take a song from this album. So Exile on
Oh,
Main
no.
Street. So yeah, I know I'm alone on this one. But yeah, actually I had a really hard, because I knew I wanted to get at least one song from this album in my top 10, but I couldn't decide which one to choose because there was actually quite a bit to choose from in this one. So, but I went with the song Tumbling Dice as my pick.
That's an amazing song.
Yeah, it was the lead-off single to the album and did really well. And lyrically, it's just about a gambler who just can't remain faithful to his girl. So, it kind of fits the title very well. And what I love about it is just it has this really great laid back groove to it, because with Charlie Watson, and just has this great drum pattern to it. And you have the backing singers as well, which gives it a bit of a soul edge to it, which is absolutely a joy to listen to. And you even have some horns on here, which again, I'm a huge sucker for horns. So of course, that alone, that's kind of why I had it. That's probably my favorite song on the album. But yeah, that's gonna be number 7 for me.
My number 7 is going to be the first song off the Between the Buttons album. If I have to be clear, it's the UK version I'm talking about, which will be Yesterday's Papers. Lyrics aren't the most best. Who wants yesterday's girls? Maybe some people might take offense to that nowadays, but that's what the Rolling Stones are known for back then.
Causing controversies.
Yep, Under My Thumb, Stupid Girl, Yesterday's Papers. They were just making a bunch of songs that could be could be seen as offensive nowadays. My favorite part of the song is the electric solo in between the song with it, and then the amazing chorus that comes after it. Who wants yesterday's papers? The marimba too throughout. It's just I love Let's Spend the Night Together. Don't get me wrong. That's gonna be one of my honorable mentions. That would have been like at number 11, but that just to me it opens up Between the Buttons just better because it just to me it sets the mood better than it.
Let's Spend the Night Together is my number 7. And I think it opens the album better for Between the Buttons. I don't think Yesterday's Papers is a good lead-off track. I think it's a perfect second track for the album. But I just think it needs something that's kind of more hooky for the album. And what better track than something with the romping, like 1920s sounding piano at the beginning. Is that
Brian Jones did perfectly opening that album with like the US version with that though.
That piano and that sound kind of goes throughout the album. You can hear that on a lot of other songs, but just I especially like the mono version of this song that you would have heard on the single and that's on my album back there. Like the mixing on it is like muddy, but it's like muddy in a way that it's rock and roll, and it's just kind of pounding the whole time. The bass, that little middle section where the bass is doing like the boop 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 boop, and then in the background there's like do 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 like that. It's just really catchy, very upbeat. So that's my number 7.
Number 6, we're going to talk about this album finally. So this might be another deep cut. I'm actually going to talk about the song Sway.
That's a good
And
one.
yeah,
Oh, I love that song.
Sway's just a really great. It's kind of a slower, more slower bluesy song, but it has this really cool vibe to it that I just really absolutely love about it. You have great slide playing by Mick Taylor on it as well, and he has some string arrangements, which really fits the overall tone and the mood of the song. It just puts you in this really, I guess, very calm mood. It's a very calming song, surprisingly. It just has, I just absolutely love to listen to it. Don't have much else to say about it, but that's going to be my number 6.
My number 6 is going to be from the Between the Buttons album, which I'm going to be saying is Complicated.
Mm.
Definitely a great rocking song off the album. It's just a great song with the beginning with the and same with the jump beat in the beginning with the that's the beginning of the song again is just amazing, and the lyrics is to me genius. The lyrics, I don't know, I feel like their lyrics were getting better and better, and the Aftermath album was like the start of it, and Between the Buttons is like them evolving on their songwriting, which it really is great. And this song is no exception. And the music is great on it. The lyrics are great on it. Their vocals are great on it. It's just a great song overall. It's my number 6.
You might say their lyrics are beginning to get very complicated.
Yeah.
My number 6 is yet another song from Between the Buttons. I'm going to be going with probably the only deep cut in my top 10, but I'm going with Miss Amanda Jones, which is, I think it's it's either the second or the third track from the end. I don't have the track listing memorized.
It's the second last track on the album.
Okay, the penultimate track. This is groovy rock and roll at its finest. Very 60s sounding. I love the guitar riff at the beginning and the tone that they have on the guitar. That boom 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 boom, and then that old honky tonk piano sound comes back in this song, especially on the bridge. The bridge to this song is amazing, where it's just like you have the guitar playing these power chords like the Chuck Berry style, and you have the piano in the background that's just like just sounding really cool, and then Mick Jagger just kind of go like, "Hey girl," and it's really cool. I really like. I don't know if it's Keith or Brian Jones who's playing the rhythm or lead, who's doing what, but the way the rhythm and the lead kind of play with each other in this song is really good. I think it's supposed to be a satire on the hippie culture. I'm not exactly sure, but it is my number 6 song.
Okay, nearing the halfway point. Well, we are at the halfway point. Okay, I'm gonna jump to this album. It's To Some Girls, and from this point, from my 5 to my second favorite, I'm going to be kind of more basic here, but for my number 5, I'm going to go with Beast of Burden. So I think it's one of the earliest Rolling Stone songs I really first enjoyed, and this was like years ago, but I've always enjoyed that song growing up. It just has this very great groove to it, and I actually learned the bass line to the song. Actually, it's really cool and really locks down with the drums really well. And musically, you also have some great guitar licks between Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood as well. And yeah, it's just a very solid song. It's nothing too crazy happens into it, but it just has, again, another one that has a really good vibe to it that I really enjoy to it. So that's gonna be number 5 for me.
Nice. My number 5 is gonna be from the Between the Buttons album again, and look at what we got here. My list also includes Miss Amanda Jones.
It's a good song.
It's just an amazing song. It's definitely a song that definitely hooked me the first time I listened to it. Like when I first listened to Between the Buttons, I wasn't crazy on it, but that song, I did really enjoy that song when I first heard it. It definitely like I think Eric Burden of the Animals reviewed that album, and I think he said that was like, oh yeah, this is like a great song, and reminds me of what they were, their older years, which is kind of funny because that was like 3 years ago, but still.
Mm.
Even Eric Burden liked that song, and it's just a great song. Garrett already explained how great it was, so I'll just leave it at that. It's number 5.
Cool. My number 5, this may be a hot take putting it so low, but I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Their first number 1 hit, and really the single that launched them, because before they did this, their signature song was Time Is On My Side, which is a cover song. They were just a blues cover band, and then the story goes Brian Jones kind of locked them in a room and were like, come out with some hits. And they wrote some songs themselves, but then Keith Richards had this dream one night, and when he woke up, he says that he had this riff playing in his head, and he made a demo tape kind of in his sleep. And when he woke up, there was the song. So it has this very recognizable guitar riff at the beginning. Mick Jagger again, vocally just belting it out, and just one of their most iconic songs. So that's going to be number 5 for me.
Awesome. Yep, that's the classic. And my number 4, I have another classic, and it's the only one I don't have on physical. But I'm going to go to the Aftermath album. I'm going with Painted Black.
I'll hold it up. I got it here.
There you go. Yeah, it's right there. So yeah, Painted Black, another one of their big all-time classics. You have that iconic sitar intro by Brian Jones, and then from then on it just becomes this frantic-esque song, because with the drumming by Charlie Watts is just absolutely one of my favorite drumming moments from Charlie Watts. Just he absolutely sells it. Then you have the lyrics, which really going that more darker side, talking about kind of this character kind of mourning the death of I guess her loved one, his loved one, and he kind of wants everything painted black. He just does not want to see any color whatsoever, and it's just absolutely really a wonderful song. And there's many people have talked about it many times before, but yeah, this can be my number 4.
My number 4 is from the Aftermath album, and this one is a track that was from the UK version, but was cut off of it for the US version. And this song is going to be What to Do, the very last track on the album. Very catchy, very definitely a very poppy sounding song. Very unusual for their sound. The whole Aftermath album really is like that, but that song in particular is just very different from what they were doing at the time. They were known as the rough and tough, opposite from the Beatles, but then you get this track. It's like, what to do? Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know what to do. Very Beatlesque track. And I think it's just perfect. A really great way to end off the album. And I was definitely broken when I found out that was one of the songs that wasn't on the US version, To me, Aftermath is an.
I don't think I've actually heard that song then.
I'll send it to you, or we can listen to it after the stream ends.
Okay. Cool. So that is your number 4. All right. My number 4 comes from the Let It Bleed album, and it goes a little something like, you can't always get what you want.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's Bob Dylan there.
You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. Anyway, Bob Dylan singing the songs. It's the final track on the album, and it is the perfect album closer for them. It starts very unexpectedly with a choir, which I don't think the Rolling Stones have ever done before or after that song. But you can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. And if you weren't expecting a choir, that's what you need. But anyway, after the choir intro, you get just some acoustic guitar strumming and some French horn, which is really cool that they added the French horn on there. And Mick Jagger comes in, and the song just kind of builds the whole time. It starts with just the choir, and then the guitar and the French horn come in, and then Charlie comes in, the bass comes in, and it's like a 6-7 minute song, so it's got a lot to build up to. But at the end, you got Mick Jagger just kind of vocally ad-libbing, and the choir just singing in the background, and it's just a really cool song, and definitely something you're going to want to check out if you've never heard it before. So number 4, you can't always get what you want.
Yeah. Okay, entering the top 3, going back to this album.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. So this is another classic, and I'm going with Wild Horses.
Mm.
Just a beautiful ballad, one of my favorites of their ballads. Great imagery with terms of the lyrics. Of course, there's dispute what it's actually about. Some people say it's about Marianne Faithfull. Some people say it's about being out on the road a lot. Regardless, it just has this perfect image of just watching somebody possibly crumble, and hopefully you want them to be free, just like a wild horse. And yeah, just absolutely love it. I don't have much else to say, but yeah, it's one of those emotional songs that I really, really love. So that's my number 3.
That's funny. If that song really is about Marianne Faithfull, that would be the second British Invasion song that would be about Marianne Faithfull. The Hollies made a song about Marianne Faithfull. Could you guys guess what that song is?
Yeah.
Hey, Carrie Ann.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she was big.
Changed one letter.
Great. Graham Nash and Tony Hicks wanted to write a song about Marianne Faithfull, but they were too shy, so they just changed it to Carrie Ann, and Alan Clark ended up adding vocals to it later. But yeah, that song was about Tony Hicks and Graham Nash's affection towards Marianne Faithfull.
Kind of like Eric Clapton writing Layla for George Harrison's wife.
Yeah. Basically, that's what it is.
All right.
But my number 3 is going to be from the Aftermath album again. It's another track that was cut off the UK album, which is Out of Time.
It's on Flowers.
It is on Flowers.
Granted, it's shorter, but at least
shorter version, and I prefer the longer 5-minute version of it, which that's probably where a lot of people would disagree. But to me, it's just a great pop song, another unusual pop song for their time. Nowadays them doing pop stuff in their records is not unusual, but maybe back in 1966, Stones fans were like, "What is this? Like, aren't they supposed to not be the Beatles? Like, this sounds like the Beatles." But I think them doing the Beatles is great. Like, a lot of people, this other person considered it. Forgot the YouTube channel, but they said this is like their Rubber Soul, and I think it's their Rubber Soul. It's not like them like copying off of Rubber Soul. I think it's like them doing their own kind of Rubber Soul, and I think they do it perfectly. So yeah, that's my number 3 spot.
Cool. I'm giving my opinion on Out of Time because it's not on my top 10 list, but I think it really fits the vibe of the Flowers album. Also, actually, I need to just go ahead and say my song because I can say this comment as soon as I say what it is. But my number 3 is also Wild Horses. And I believe it is about Marianne Faithfull, that like she got sick in the hospital or something, and then whenever she gained consciousness, that's the first thing she said to Mick Jagger is, "Wild horses will never drag me away." That might just be an exaggerated story, but
maybe
that's what I've read at least. So take what you will and don't believe everything you read. But
yep.
As for the song itself, this is very different than what the Stones usually do. Having a more acoustic ballad kind of song, which they don't have a lot of in their discography, but every time they do, it's usually really good. This one is their best ballad. It's Keith kind of strumming along with his guitar and Mick Jagger just kind of serenading. It's definitely, you can definitely tell it's him, but it's still a very different voice than he usually uses in this song. But it is my favorite song on the Sticky Fingers album and my 3rd favorite song in their discography.
Nice. All right, on to number 2, another big classic off this album, and probably the most famous song on here. It's the opening track, and that of course is "Gimme Shelter." I mean, the song is a statement on what was going on during the Vietnam War. You can hear the anger, you can hear the despair, the sadness into it. It just all comes together. Absolutely love the guitar tone by Keith Richards' guitar on it. Just absolutely piercing. Just absolutely sells it. Then you, of course, when you're mentioning the song, you also got to mention Mary Clayton's backing vocals on it. I mean, you gotta bring them up because they're just they're just probably my favorite part of the whole song is just hearing her backing vocals, and especially during the time where she's just belting it out, and she gives that where her voice cracks for a second, and then you faintly hear Mick Jagger in the background. Just you can tell he was getting excited about it. But yeah, absolutely spectacular song. I mean, another one that has been talked about a lot, but that's going to be my number 2.
Okay, my number 2 is gonna also be another song from the Aftermath album, and it's yet another song that was cut from the UK version, which even my dad agrees with this. The way superior opener to the Aftermath album, which is "Mother's a Little Helper," and that song is just amazing throughout. I think it's about mothers taking drugs throughout that time to stay awake and all that. So I don't know the full backstory, but I think it's about that, and it's about
From what I've, because I was listening to that song because it was one of the songs that got cut from whenever I made my playlist, and it didn't quite make the top 10. It's about mothers just trying to keep up with like just daily routines and having husbands and children who just don't appreciate them, and they feel like they have to take drugs just to keep up, but yet they feel underappreciated, which is very different since the Stones are usually like, oh, look at my girl, she's so bad, and you don't treat me nice. But then the Stones actually sympathizing with housewives in this song is a very different approach from their usual take.
Yeah, I think they did perfectly, and just the whole song, the beginning with the acapella, with the what a drag it is getting old, and then with the yeah, it's just the perfect way to open up that album, and it's just the best song on the album. For the longest time, Out of Time was the best song on the album, in my opinion. But after re-listening to the Aftermath album like a bunch of times, that nothing gets better than that song.
They're both on Flowers.
I know, but to me, I don't know. They repeated a few tracks from the Between the Buttons album.
Yeah, that they shouldn't have done that. They had a lot of other songs to work with. All right. My number 2 is the song, I don't know if you can read it. That song right there. Very faintly painted. Nope, that's not going to. It's very faintly painted there under the title. Paint It Black. This is really amazing. It starts off with some sitar, and then Charlie Watts is just going ham on the drums. Mick Jagger must have been real upset when he recorded this because the vocal performance that he gives is just really cranked up to 11. Really great guitar and sitar playing off of each other, and it's kind of like the Beatles started bringing Eastern sounds into Western music with Norwegian Wood, and then the Stones took it a step further with Paint It Black, and then the Beatles take it a step further with Within You Without You. So it's like you can see between the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the Stones some friendly competition going on there. But this song is definitely really amazing and is my number 2 song.
Awesome. Okay.
Honorable mentions.
Okay, there's a lot here. So just gonna get through this as quickly as possible. So I'm just gonna name the song. So I Can't Get No Satisfaction, Get Off My Cloud, Under My Thumb, Think, Ruby Tuesday, No Expectations, Street Fighting Man, Midnight Rambler, You Got Silver, You Can't Always Get What You Want, Brown Sugar. From Exile, we have Rocks Off, Rip the Joint, Sweet Virginia. Now we're in Goat's Head Soup already. Dancing with Mr. D, 100 Years Ago, and Heartbreaker and Angie. It's Only Rock and Roll, but I Like It. Memory Motel from Black and Blue. Some Girls I Miss You, and When the Whip Comes Down. Then Tattoo You, you have Start Me Up and Little TNA.
Okay. For me, my honorable are you going to go with your number 1 first? Or we all go?
No, we're doing the honorable mentions.
Oh, yeah. I'm so used to when we're doing the album of the year, when we would do the honorable mentions and then our number 1 and all that. But to me, all their albums have at least one honorable mention. Their first album, Their self-titled has Route 66, Honest I Do, Mona I Need You, Tell Me, Carol, and You Can Make It If You Try. From their second album, I'd say Time Is On My Side, What a Shame, Down the Road a Piece. I Can't Be Satisfied is a really good cover track. Off the Hook is really good, and Susie Q is really good. Out of Our Heads, Get No Satisfaction, of course. Heart of Stone, The Unassisted West Coast, Promotion Man, I'm Free, Cry to Me, Talking About You, Mercy, She Said Yeah. A lot of great songs from that album. Basically, the entirety of the Aftermath album that I don't have on my list, that could also be on my honorable mentions. My Obsession is I wouldn't consider that to be an honorable mention. Backstreet Girls, a really great song, which is on the Flowers album. Connection's really good. She Smells Sweetly, Cool Calm and Collected, All Sold Out, Please Go Home. Something Happened to Me Yesterday. Besides the reprise of singing this all together, the entirety of their Satanic Majesty's Request. They just had a crazy amount of songs that I just really like by them. Not Dear Doctor. No Expectations. What's it called? I can't think of the song. You guys are just talking about it. Opens up, Let It Bleed.
Give Me Shelter.
Give Me Shelter.
That song's amazing. Jigsaw Puzzle. Brown Sugar. Wild Horses. It's Only Rock and Roll, but I like it. Tumbling Dice. Sweet Virginia, Little TNA, basically the entirety of Some Girls. They just had so many great songs going for them. So yeah, I'm not gonna go through all of them, but you get the idea.
Okay, I don't have a lot from their early stuff, but I still have a lot of honorable mentions. Not Fade Away, Time Is On My Side, Heart of Stone, This Could Be the Last Time, The Under Assistant West Coast Promotion Man, Play with Fire, Get Off of My Cloud, As Tears Go By, Lady Jane, Think, I Am Waiting, Connection, Cool, Calm, and Collected, Who's Been Sleeping Here, Something Happened to Me Yesterday, Mother's Little Helper, Out of Time, She's a Rainbow, Sympathy for the Devil, Jigsaw Puzzle, Street Fighting Man, Monkey Man, Brown Sugar, Can't You Hear Me Knocking, Moonlight Mile, Angie, It's Only Rock and Roll, Memory Motel, Miss You, and Beast of Burden.
Very good. So now we move on to our number one favorite Rolling Stones song. Okay, so funny enough, this song was on my channel. I did a series where I talked about my top 100 favorite songs of all time, and this song was part of it, and it's off this album, and it's the last song, Moonlight Mile. Absolutely one of the most beautiful. I think this is one of their most underrated songs ever. Really beautiful ballad. Just absolutely love the strings on this one. The strings were it's definitely really makes this song very emotional sounding. So from what I gather, this song is kind of about the feeling of alienation while being out on the road a lot of time. But you don't always feel that because I think the lyrics are just universal enough where you can kind of make it out to whatever you want it to be. And there's just some really great imagery throughout this song. Again, it's just a very beautiful song, and I think more people needs to give it a listen. And a great way to close out this. I mean, kind of spoiler. This is my favorite Rolling Stones album, so I think it closes out on a very great note. So yeah, that's gonna be my number one favorite Rolling Stones song.
Okay, my number one Rolling Stones song is going to be a big shock. None of their hits, but Who's Been Sleeping Here? Very Bob Dylan-esque.
That's a good one.
To me, it's just the perfect Rolling Stones song. Brian Jones, just everything. He's just putting everything but the sync in this album, and that song is just, to me, the biggest highlight off that album. And Mick Jagger's, the way he's singing it, who's been sleeping here? Boom, boom, boom. to me, it's just a great song overall, and definitely grew on me over time. And now it's my favorite Rolling Stones song. There you go.
Was it your auntie, your uncle, who's been
Bob
sleeping?
Dylan should have definitely covered that song.
He would have done great covering
Yeah.
that song. Yeah, that's definitely my second favorite album of theirs, Between the Buttons. It's a really underrated one, and I don't know why Mick Jagger hates it so much. Probably because it's so different than anything else they've done.
It's very Kinks-esque, like definitely
Yeah.
very big Kinks influence on that. A lot of people say it's very Beatlesque. It's a Beatlesque album, but
No,
I hear more Kinks on it. And
me too.
you heard the Preservation album, so you could back me up on that.
Definitely. Preservation Society sounds like that album, but written by John Entwistle, honestly speaking.
Yeah.
This is going to come as a shock. My number one song is not from my favorite Rolling Stones album. This is my favorite of their albums, but my favorite song's not on this album, which you might think is weird, but it's just how the list works. My number one Rolling Stones song is Gimme Shelter. And from the first time I heard that opening guitar, I was like, this is going to be something special. And recently I went to a record store that had a listening booth that you could try out records at.
Mm.
And I found a copy of the Let It Bleed album, and it was really beat up, otherwise I would have bought it. But I just wanted to play just a little bit of Gimme Shelter because I'm like, I want to hear what this sounds like on the record. So I sit down, I put the headphones on, I drop the needle on, and then do 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 woo, and it's like everything in my power. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like overtaking me, and I wanted to scream out in the record store, oh shelter, it's just a shadow away, it's just a shadow away. And I'm like, if I do that, I'm gonna look so weird with the headphones on, and everyone around me is like, it's just a shadow away, it's just a shadow. But like listening to it on the record was an experience in itself because it was like, wow, this is really amazing.
Yeah.
But the guitar hooks you in at the beginning. Keith Richards playing all the guitar parts on this. I, for some reason, thought Mick Taylor did part of it, but no, it's all Keith on this song. Which this particular album is interesting because it's the only album you get Brian Jones and Mick Taylor on it.
Mm.
But guitar is amazing, and then you get Mick Jagger coming in like with those ominous piano chords behind him, and the cool like percussion behind him, just kind of talking about social issues in the 1960s. And then Mary Clayton, the backing vocalist, oh my goodness, her backup vocals make this song even better. Like whenever she's singing together with him, and then when she has her little bridge section and just like starts belting, and Briar mentioned it, you can hear Mick Jagger going woo because of how well she's singing in there, and it's just like it just is a song that just overtakes you, and the particular chord progression they use is really amazing too. Everything about it is really great, and that is my number one Rolling Stone song.
Yeah. Can't argue with that one.
Thank you guys for watching. Those of you who are watching on the replay, I don't think we had anybody watch this live. It's okay as long as we get the replay up. We're really glad for those of you who have stopped by and watched. Leave us a comment down below. What are your top 10 favorite Rolling Stones songs? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you guys think? We're going to see you guys next Sunday for our ranking of the Police's 5 studio albums, and that is going to take place a little bit earlier. We're going to be doing it at 2 o'clock my time, which is going to be 3 o'clock next time, and that's Eastern time, 2 o'clock Central time. It's going to be cool. I really like the Police, one of my favorite bands now. They got some really weird stuff, but it's like weird in a good way. But we're really excited to be talking about the Police. We will see you then. Thank you for watching.
Adios. Like my mother on the phone.